was called at school, and I'm trying to get my kids, when they grow up, to call me Janelle, but they always say Miss Snodgrass. So I want you to thank Ms. Robinson for getting today all organized for us. She brought a globe, a mouse, a chalkboard, and because I have a terrible time spelling, I probably won't write much on the chalkboard. You would have to tell me how to spell the words. You know, some people have dyslexia. I have a condition that I can't remember left and right, and I can't remember how to spell. And that is a disability, and it doesn't have a name, but it's a handicap. It's a doggone handicap. But anyway, I love getting to work with kids. And I'll start off with singing you a little song. It's December 7th, 1941. And now, I don't sing so well anymore. When I was 10, I sang a lot better. I'll do that again. December 7th, 1941. Our land of freedom was defied. I almost cry when I think about it. It was so serious. But I'll tell you about that day. It was a Sunday, and it was sunny, and we had a good rain the night before. And I lived on a dirt road out in the country, but we came into town to go to church. And for us, it was 11 o'clock, but in Honolulu, which is in the islands off of California, it was just daybreak. And planes came from Japan. They came on carriers, and Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Oh, it was so sad. And 3,403 people were killed in that attack on Pearl Harbor. Tremendous sadness, of course, happened to everybody. They sank 9 ships. The ships had some people below deck, and they were not able to get out. And for days, they could hear those men trying to get out, and but they just had to listen to it. Can you imagine how bad? So then the airport, our airplanes there were also attacked and disabled. The ships, we had 26 ships that were so disabled that they could not leave the port. None of our ships could leave the port. Now, the reason that Japan, which is a little country, was able to, whoops, that's not the map. Here's the map right here. I'll try to show you. It's hard to place something round on a flat map, but here's Japan, and it's quite small. And then you can see how big the United States is. But they say that we were so weak because we had been in a tremendous depression. And our servicemen had not had real guns to practice with. They only got to use real guns when they went to the shooting range. So we just couldn't afford, we weren't paying our soldiers because we didn't have the money. So because we are considered a giant, you cut a giant off at the knees. And that's what they said or Japan was thinking. They would cut us off at the knees, and we would not be able to defend ourselves, and then they could occupy America. That was their plan. And everything that day was so upset, and we heard at church, as I told you, that we had been attacked. And of course, we were all scared. But on the way home from church, just as we were sliding around, how muddy roads are, just as we were sliding around that muddy road, our corner, my dad said, "Oh, we'll have those lunch jobs whipped in 30 days." Well, of course, that he was just trying to make the children not feel so scared. And so I believed him. I was the youngest child, and I thought, "Oh yeah, that'll work. We'll come out fine." And of course, it took a lot of years and a lot of deaths before it worked. But immediately we started. What we had, our president was Eleanor Roosevelt, and he was a very good president. Thank goodness we had a good president, because not all of our presidents have been good. We've had some who were actually brokers. When we study way back to the beginning of our first president, we had good ones, and then we'd have some sorry ones. And then we'd have some good ones, and then we'd have some that weren't good. But Eleanor Roosevelt was an extremely good president. And so he immediately put us into a war thinking, and immediately factories stopped making what they had been making, and they started making what we need for a war. What are some things you can think of if you're gonna fight a war? What do we need?
Bullets.
Bullets. You are so right. A lot of them. What do you think of?
Iron Man.
I didn't. Okay, I don't get them, Carol. What'd you say?
Iron Man.
Yes, absolutely. What did you think of?
We're gonna need AK-40 shotguns and SMGs.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what I did, don't you? That's right. What about you? What? Yes,
And one more, an RPG.
absolutely. How did you learn so much? Well, I'll tell you what did you think of?
Tanks.
Tanks. I'm glad you came up with that.
And planes.
And planes. Oh, absolutely. Tanks,
Fire
planes, guns, all sorts of ornaments, as you said.
And fire jets.
Fighter jet, well, they didn't have them in World War II, but we would need those now, wouldn't we? Absolutely. In World War II, a lot of things hadn't been invented that we have now. What did you think of?
Explosions.
Explosives, dynamite, absolutely. All kinds of things. What else?
Smoke bombs to sneak out of sight.
Absolutely. You have a lot of knowledge in this room already. I can call you historians, I think, right now, because you know so much. What did you think of?
Shelter.
What?
Shelter.
Yes. Well, tell me, what, for a tank to be moved, a truck to be moved, an airplane to be flown, what powers those things? What makes them go? What did you think? You have answered so much for me. I'm so proud of you. What did you think?
Engines and motors.
Engines and motors, and what makes those engines and motors go? What do they have to fill the tank with?
Gas.
Gas. You are so good. So good thinking. I love that. Yes, they had to put gas in all of those. Well, can you see what a big problem we were gonna have? We have to get all those machines built. First, we gotta get them built. And so, what you think of?
We would also need, for if anybody could get injured, we would need some nurses to heal them back to
Very
health.
good.
How do you know so much. Gosh, we gotta have those nurses. You are so right. And they've got to have ambulances. You are good thinkers. Well, I will tell you what happened in Crosbyton because I was 10 years old. Actually, I lacked 3 weeks being 10 years old on that Sunday. And, but by the time we got home, I thought everything will work out okay. My dad had said it would, and I believed. And sometimes your parents tell you something that's not quite right, but they want you not to be scared. They might do that. No, that dog won't bite, just stay away from him. You know, that kind of thing. He'll be fine when he gets a little older. But anyway, as soon as that happened, all of the men teachers, we had women teachers in elementary school and primary school, but our high school teachers were men, and they immediately left town. Where do you think they were going? Where do you think? To the Army, absolutely. Some went into the Air Force, some went into the Navy, some went into the Coast Guard, and some went into the Army.
And some went into the fire jet academy.
Oh, you guys are good readers. I love that. But they left town, and you know the one that I really thought the most about was Mr. Cure was his name, and he was our janitor. He also managed to get our heating system in school always done, and he was my bus driver. And I thought, we just can't do without him. He had to leave, but he didn't go to the Army. This is kind of one of the things that you probably would have thought of. He went to a factory to start building airplanes. He went to California and started working on airplanes. So a lot of women also left town because they were going to factories. Some of the factories were in Fort Worth, some of the factories were in other states. But that's, that was important. We had to get those machines built because we couldn't do anything until we got our ships built, our airplanes built, our tanks built. Now, Mr. Roosevelt knew the war was coming, and he was trying to hold off because Americans did not want to get into a war. And he knew he couldn't win an election if he said, we're going to be in a war, because the Americans wouldn't vote for him. And this is called politics. So he gave the English, England was already at war. They were already at war with Germany. Germany's way over here across, this is the Atlantic Ocean. And Germany had already taken a lot of countries in Europe, this continent. And he gave England 50 ships, and that really helped England to hang on until we were going to get the war. And so, okay, I have to tell you another song before I go any farther. And this song is, first came the Dutch, and then came the Poles, and then the Norwegians with 3 million souls. It's all in the books, if only you look. It's there if you read the text. They failed everyone at the point of a gun. America mustn't be next. Any bonds today? Bonds of freedom, that's what I'm selling. Any bonds today? Scrape up the most you can. Can't make tomorrow's plans, not unless you buy your share of freedom today. Now think about about all these machines we were having to build. And you know, I told you our country was so poor. So people were trying to encourage others to buy war bonds. And children were being encouraged to buy stamps. So we could buy 10-cent stamps if we went to take our dime, which at that time was pretty hard to come by. But we could take our dime and go to the principal's office every morning before school. My lips are dry. And buy some stamps or a stamp and go home and put them in our little stamp book. And this was our way of trying to keep the finance our war. And but in Crosbyton, we were having bond. We would get where the museum is and where this building is. We would have bond rallies. These buildings weren't here, so we would use this vacant lot, and people would gather together, and they would pledge to buy so many bonds, and somebody would say, well, I can't afford to buy a bond, and so somebody would call out, I'll buy a $25 bond, and that was $25 bonds and $50 bonds were what people bought. Rarely could anyone buy a $100 bond. Thank you. This will help me talk. I'm a big talker. You'll learn that from being around me. But anyway, people didn't have enough money to buy $100 bonds very often. You could. And the children, you know, as I said, we bought our stamps every time we could get a dime. And we were promised after the war, the bonds could be redeemed. We could go to the bank and redeem our bonds for more than what we paid for them. The same thing for our stamps. That was a way of our savings. Now, something that we talked about, the oil, you were telling me, the gasoline that it takes to run those machines. Well, we had our lunchroom. We didn't have a lunchroom like we have now, but we had a little store across the street from the school. And that building is still there, and it's by Bob Adams' house. One part of it sticks out toward the school, and one part goes toward the back. And a woman and her daughter, Mrs. Fulkerson, and her daughter Jean, built that little building, and moved there. And the front part of it was our little store. We could go over there and buy a hamburger, get a drink, and potato chips for our lunch. And if we had another nickel, we could buy a bar of candy. Each one cost a nickel. Nickel for a hamburger, nickel for a drink, and a nickel for a package of potato chips. And Mrs. Fulkerson moved there because her husband was working in Houston in the shipyard. Well, I guess I'm calling it the shipyards. They weren't building ships. They were shipping gasoline out from there, sending the gasoline. Part of it had to go to the Pacific Ocean, you know, this ocean, well, that's the Atlantic, the Pacific Ocean. So going from our Houston, Texas, they were sending lots of gasoline over here. They may have had to go through the Panama Canal to get there. I suspect they did. What was being shipped to Europe, because we got into a war there also, and it had to go out of the Gulf of America and go across the Atlantic Ocean. Hitler, the day after they declared war, after Japan declared war on us, the next day Roosevelt declared war on Japan. Of course, we had then Hitler, who was the German leader, declared war on America. So we were fighting on across the Atlantic Ocean and across the Pacific Ocean. So what a hard time we were having. And, but the wars were being fought. This is, to me, something to brag about for Texas. They say we're braggers, and we are. It was being fought on Texas oil. So Louisiana had pipelines to Houston, and we had, from our oil wells, we were sending oil to Houston also, where it was refined. We have refineries there. They refine oil into gasoline to send it to all the bases where we had airplanes, ships, and people trying to fight those wars. I didn't finish our song, first song, did I? December 7th, if you can't remember it now, sing it with me. December 7th, 1941, our land of freedom was defied. December 7th, 1941, Uncle Sam replied, we did it before and we can do it again, and we will do it again. We'll knock them over and then we'll get the guys in back of them. We did it before, we'll do it again. Now, the reason we do it before, we did it before, we'll do it again, is because we had already had one war with Germany, and it had only been about 20 years before this one, or 25 years before this one. And here we were, fighting it all again. And because all of our gasoline needed to go overseas for the fighting of the war, we didn't have much gasoline here or anywhere in the United States. Now, we had to have gasoline for the tractors because the tractors were for the farms, and what grows on a farm? Food. And we have to feed people. So farmers got more, they had to have stamps, and to show they could only spend as many stamps as they were allowed. And people families had our stamps, and they were stuck on the windshield on the passenger side. And when we pulled up to a filling station, they looked at our stamps and saw how many gallons of gas we could have. And so we couldn't go very far, and to save gasoline, we drove 35 miles an hour. That was the speed limit. So we went to Lubbock maybe twice a year, but Lubbock was a lot smaller town than it is now, and Crosbyton was a bigger town. And we could buy almost everything we needed here. Now, one thing that is very interesting, or to me it is, there is so much that we could not, our country didn't make. We had oil, and we were left out that, but we don't have any, what are tires made out of? Can you help me out? Rubber tires, aren't they? Yeah, rubber tires. We didn't have any rubber trees. So to get rubber into our country so that we could buy new tires, they had to come in by ship. And nothing could come into our country unless it was worth losing a ship, because torpedoes, the submarines, the Germans had a lot of submarines, and the Japanese didn't have as many, but they had a lot, and they prowled those oceans under the water. We couldn't see them, and now we have better radar. They have a little radar, but not much.
I remember one of the Germans, submarine destroyed a ship that that was close to the Titanic, but it wasn't.
You are a good thinker. Good for you. I'm so glad you told us about that. Well, an iceberg sank the Titanic, but submarines are just like an iceberg. They can just shoot a submarine, a torpedo, and we just have to hopefully miss.
But
You know,
it was like one, like it wasn't the Titanic. It was way different because it was carrying like, I think something like around the Earth to somewhere else, and then it got hit by a German submarine.
okay.
Like it exploded.
I was wondering if you are old enough that your parents let you watch war movies yet.
Yeah.
You already get, so that's how you are knowing a lot, isn't it? You have already watched war movies. You know what, my mother wouldn't let me watch a lot of things because she said then I wouldn't go to sleep. And I guess I pestered her if I couldn't go to sleep. Anyway, as the ships zigzagged, they didn't go to a straight line. They tried to fool the submarines by going this way. They turn, like when you're running and someone's shooting at you, you're not supposed to go in a straight line, you're supposed to zigzag. Makes them miss you. Isn't that something? But don't ever expect that we can get things into our country when we're at war, because there's gonna be anything that we must have, they're gonna shoot the ship. And it has to be worth dying, having men die to get those things here. Okay, what is it?
So about the gun thing, you said you're not supposed to go straight. Even if you go zigzag, what if they have an automatic? They'll be able to hit
You know what, I bet they have those by now, what do you think? I would bet they do, and I think they do on planes. They didn't have them then, thank goodness. They just, they did not, that had not been invented.
I mean, always.
Well, we were fighting this huge war, and rubber had to come into the country to be made into tires. Now, I don't know, they might have been able to make tires in some other places and send them on to Europe or on to Japan, not Japan, onto the islands where we were fighting. But I'm not sure about that. But this is a song we sang at school. Now, do you all know, oh goodness, Goins, Emerson Goins?
Yes.
Okay, Emerson's grandmother, or great-grandmother, was our unofficial music teacher at school. And because everyone in our class had someone in the service, you know, one of the branches of the service. So every morning we would sing a song to honor that person or those people who were in that service. So this is one of the songs we sang. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sun. If you know that, sing it with me. Here they come, singing to meet our thunder, off with one hell of a roar. Down, let's see, now I lost my mind. All right, and anyway, the Air Force song, and we always liked it because we got to say hell of a lot. We got really cussing. And I guess that was our first cuss word to get to say at school and not get in trouble. I had a cousin who lived in Clarendon, Texas, up in the Panhandle, and he had joined the Air Force, and Reese Air Force was at Lovell. And so we got an invitation when he graduated and got his wings. We got to go over and watch the ceremony when he was his wings were pinned on his shirt. And, but more than that, we got to watch planes a lot of times flying over our area. They would be up high usually, sometimes kind of low, and they would be practicing not just how to fly, but chasing each other and pretending they were in dog fights in the sky. And we got to watch that, and we'd just be really entertained by it. So, but when my cousin had graduated, and he was sent to England to fly from there and set up the islands. And again, I'll show you kind of England. This is England. They're all islands. And they had been the only thing hanging on and fighting the Germans and Hitler. Hitler was their leader. The Japanese leader was Tojo. And he was called Tokyo Joe because their capital is Tokyo. But anyway, my cousin was on a transport plane, and I don't know if he was the pilot or the co-pilot, but they were shot down. And they didn't have any word whether he had survived or not. And his mother said, oh, he was alive. She said, if he weren't, I would know it. And she had a vision that she saw him being marched through a street. And so she said he is alive. But it was a year and a half or longer before he was found in a prisoner of war camp. Usually, or not usually, sometimes the Red Cross was able to get the names of people in the camps. But they hadn't been able to get his name out to his family. So they were really excited, that family, and all of us were excited to find out that he was still alive and released. But before that, I had a cousin from Fort Worth who had joined the Army before, not the Army, he had joined the Royal Canadian Air Force. As soon as he got out of high school. And he didn't wait for America to get into the war. They knew there was going to be war. So, you know, the people who paid attention, and not 10-year-olds, but he had joined the Air Force, and he was a tail gunner on a plane. And I guess those were transport planes that had tail gunners, and he was killed. So before we ever got into the war, he was already killed. And out at McAdoo, there were a lot of McAdoo area men that were killed. I didn't know that until yesterday, and a friend of mine told me. She said, I think there may have been as many as 17 from the McAdoo area that were killed in World War II. But it was World War II, as I told you, because we'd already fought World War I, but not with Japan. And Japan was already fighting China, occupying China. China was very behind. They were not a progressive country at all. They were very behind. And they proved not much resistance to Japan. But I'll sing you one song. Remember that England is a great island, and it has, I know some cliffs. I've never been to England, so I don't know what these look like. But the cliffs that come almost straight up from the ocean, and they're called the White Cliffs. And wherever Dover is, I think it's on the side, like toward France. So this song, let's see if I can remember my first word that goes with it, because we're getting, okay, oh yes, we're coming in on a wing and a prayer, coming in on a wing and a prayer. Though there's one motor gone, we can still carry on. We're coming in on a wing and a prayer. What a fight, what a show. Yes, we really hit our targets for tonight. So I'll sing as we fly through the air. We're coming in on a wing and a prayer. Now I want to ask you, should I have said engine or motor in that word, in that song? I think I was supposed to say engine. Are airplane engines, not airplane motors? Motors are small, aren't they? But anyway, what do you think had happened to that engine? Why was he coming in with one engine instead of two? Good thinkers here. What do you think?
Because they might have lost like a tank of gas.
It could, yes, right. Probably shot down in the gas, and they could have been running out of gas. Absolutely, to make it back, to go make their run, of their bomb run, and then come back. I think you're right. Can someone think of something else that might have caused one of the engines to go out?
By another plane that was disguised.
Another plane should have hit it, sure, absolutely.
But what if their automatic disguised gun hit one of their engines?
You know what? You guys are gonna have to join the Air Force. You just know too much about all
I'm
these
not
things.
dying on my mom.
You impress me. But yeah, another plane could have shot them. They could have been shot from the ground too, you know, the big ground guns hitting. We had a lot of big problems. I didn't tell you about this. Children in England who were living in cities because the Germans were bombing the cities so much, a lot of children were taken, are sent out in the country to live with families on farms. And it might be family they knew, but it was probably strangers that they were living with to be safe from the bombs. How would you feel if you had to leave home and live with somebody for a long time that you didn't know?
I would be uncomfortable because I wouldn't know them at all.
It would be awful, wouldn't it?
And uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Homesick. I would be homesick because I was a mama's, you know, I want my mama. What about you?
I would think it's like kind of scary because like you don't know if like when you go to love you might think it's your like mom, but when you like actually grow up and you like see your mom and like you freak out and you like think that somebody just stole you.
Really, really, yes. Well, and anyway, this last song that I'll sing for you is it's about the, listen for the line that's about the children. Let me see if I get my first word again here. Let me see, just a minute. Okay. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow when the world is free. There'll be fun and laughter and peace ever after tomorrow when the world is free. There's a line I can't remember it. The valley will go, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be fun and laughter and peace ever after tomorrow when the world is free. Those are songs we sang during the wartime, and they were to try to lift our spirits. But the last two I sang, those those couldn't come until just about the end of the war when we really knew we were gonna win. I'm gonna ask Martha or Bridget, would you all lead our prayer? Because this is what we sang at the end of every meeting, and the radio, a lady named Kate Smith was recorded, and this was a song sung at the end of every radio of the day when the radios went off. Okay?
Okay. Everybody has some stuff. Well, not everybody, but if you could share it.
Okay, if you want to put your hands in a prayer, that'll be fine. You do what you please, what you and your family does.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, wide with gold. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
And that's a song we all should sing very, very often, because it is a wonderful prayer, asking God to protect our country and to guide us. And I thank you. You were such good listeners.
Absolutely.
I don't think I would find very many people who would be as patient as you to listen to this. And thank you. Now, Bridget's dad, Frank, is sitting back there, and he told me a very interesting story the other day. And then Mary Parkhill is sitting back there, and she has told me some interesting things about her mother. If you have just another minute, let's let Mary tell. It won't take her long.
My mother was born in Scotland, and that's where I was born. And when she was 5, because the war was overseas then, she wore a gas mask to school because they had chemical warfare, and when the air sirens would go off, she's 5 years old, she would jump in a trench because they would be dropping bombs. And I can't imagine how scary that was.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they didn't have sugar. First time she ever saw a banana and ate it, she ate it with the skin on. She didn't know you were supposed to eat it because they didn't have the fruit. They didn't have the things that we enjoy. My grandfather worked for Scotland Yard, and my Aunt Enid was a female paratrooper with the Canadian Air Force. And most of you guys don't know who Winston Churchill is, but that was when I was visiting with Janelle. There's a picture of Winston Churchill of my grandfather who worked for Scotland Yard, and my aunt who was a paratrooper.
Mary, can you explain what a paratrooper is?
They jumped out of planes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to share some about
Shin. I didn't get his name right. Frank, would you tell them what you were telling me the other day about the women who flew the planes?
Well, the men were gone to war, as you were saying, and it fell back on the women to pick up a lot of the slack in the production line. And I had the fortune of knowing a couple of the women that flew the airplanes, that took the airplanes over to Europe for the fight in the war. Another woman that we knew that took care of Bridget when she was a baby, she made parachutes over in Wichita Falls. So women played a big part in that war, even though you never see them or anything like that.
It is, you know, we studied World War II because there were so many things happening. It was such a big, all around, and the things that people could do are, I feel so sheltered. All I can do is teach school and mop the floor sometimes. But the thing about the people, the amazing things they did, and you are just beginning to get to learn things. I'm so glad you are such good thinkers. I heard wonderful answers. So good for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, I had a good time. Okay, bye-bye, kids.
Thank you guys.
I guess Miss Williams is ready for you to get back. There's a lot of kids here today.